There's a thing I hate, and I hate it more than the fact that, you know, downloading and streaming ruined the music industry. The fact that the machines came in and now you can make music on computers. Now AI's come out and you don't even have to be able to play anymore. And people have gone right down low. They listen to horrible hip-hop influenced, dancey country music. Nobody's interested in playing the drums or guitar anymore. And my whole life's work has become pointless. But ironically, I've ended up doing the biggest thing I've ever done because I've now got this YouTube here and it's given me a different voice. But now I have to try and entertain people by cracking stupid jokes and getting bloody angry on video, you know. And the fact that there's a bunch of old blokes that they just respond to an older man getting angry, you all respond to it, don't you? You put it on and you think, oh, everyone's switched on, and then I thought, oh my God, Andy's full on. Normally he builds up to this one, but here he's straight in. It's like an arrow of fury. An arrow of fury busting through all the bullshit that we have to, us older men have to put up with in modern world. My God, this is incredible. Andy, how can he maintain this amount of anger? You know, I'm glued. All the older men, they say, I'm glued. You know, their wives say, would you like a cup of tea, Jeffrey? And they go, shut your face. Andy's angry. Just leave me. Do you feel it? Do you just feel bloody angry? I bet you do, don't you? I'm so angry. I haven't even told you what I'm angry about yet. But it does not matter, does it? Doesn't matter. It does not matter. We're angry older men, and people need to understand how bloody angry I am. It's so frustrating. You know, you get up in the morning and you're all aching, and you get out of bed and you have to go downstairs. There's no bloody milk in the fridge because the kids have all had it, or your wife's been drinking too much milk. What are you drinking so much bloody milk for? So you have to walk around the shop just to get your milk so you can have a cup of coffee to kickstart the day. You fancy having a cigarette, but you don't smoke anymore, so you have to think, oh, I could have a good cigarette now. Well, that would be nice, you know. Walk out of the garden, have a puff like that, like it's the 1970s, totally guilt-free like that. It wouldn't even be in the garden, would you? You know, you'd just be over the kids, wouldn't you? Over the kids in the bedroom. You're right, kids. You need to get up. Right, they can't do that anymore. You can't say anything without upsetting the wokies. The wokies get upset, don't they? At bloody everything. There's so much to get angry about, and I'm angry. I'm really angry. But what's at the top? What's at the mountain peak? What's at the summit of what gets me angry? What do I think is really bloody ruined my life? I'm not doing this. I'm going to have to take my lovely coat off. I bought a lovely coat. An older man's coat, albeit. It's lovely. It's moleskin. You know, it's made out of moles, that is. Not moles on your body. I mean, that would be an incredible... I suppose if you got in with a dermatologist that was ruining... it wasn't ruining, it was removing moles from people. You could collect them over decades and sew something together. But I don't think it would look very nice. And it might actually give you sort of some nasty sort of illness. I would have thought that would be a bad idea. No, I'm on about proper bloody moles. I go out into my garden and I go, you bloody moles, what have you been doing? Making molehills coming up. I've mowed that lawn. Why should I even mow the lawn? Nobody cares whether I mow the lawn or not. Right? I come out and mow the lawn, I get it all nice. Who for? For nobody. Nobody cares. And then the bloody mole comes out. Right? It's enough with the bloody badger. I've got a badger coming in, trying to break his way through my fences. We have to buy new fences. He don't build it all like that. Not a badger. The badger doesn't like go, I want to have a hole so I can get into Andy's garden and do some damage. I just got to get in like a burglar would. Badgers aren't like that. It's like they blast a whole doorway so they can get in because they're not coming like these badgers do. Bloody hate badgers, hate moles. I've had a bloody coat made out of the moleskins. I know people are against all that, but that's surely all right. Moleskin's all right. It's not like it's made out of mink. So angry. I'm getting puffed now. I can't really keep this up. And the thing is that we're nearly 5 minutes in and I haven't even told you what this video is about. I want to explore something that really does get me angry. Right? And it's going to be hard for me to explain. I think it's the main driver of this channel. I think it's my raison d'etre, to use a bit of French, sorry. But it's my raison d'etre, right? Is this. I think that's what got me here in the first place. I think this is why I do what I do. And I'm really going to have a rant about it now, you know? And I'm getting very angry. And even if you're not into what I'm talking about, the anger will be there. I've given myself a win now. Does you get that? You get yourself wind. Oh, and then sometimes if it's trapped that you got a heart attack, don't you? You start doing all this. Oh, God, what's it? You might have to get the ambulance. Beryl, you might have to get the ambulance. I think, right, so this is all these things are the problems with being an older man. Right, there's all sorts of things you have to worry about. If you go to the doctor with everything, before, you lay down on the bloody thing, like in the fetal position, and he's having to explore the bloody torch on his head with his finger. And I'm sure they only do it because you're older and you're not going to, you're obviously not a sexual object anymore, are you? So nobody would do this to get their own kicks, would they? And so the doctor's allowed to do whatever they want then. If you're a young lady and that kept happening every time they go to the doctor, she'd probably complain and she'd have a case. The doctor gets struck off. But not when you're in your bloody 50s. Now you have to put with all sorts of embarrassment. All these things, you can see what I'm doing is I'm laying out as an older man all the things that get on my nerves, and even things like the fact that I haven't got as long to live as I used to have, and so I can't bloody plan anything really. There's no point thinking, oh, if I did that in 40 years, oh no. If I did that in 30 years, oh no. Even in 20 years, I hope to be here in 20 years, but I bet you I won't be, now I've said that. Right, touch wood. I'm going to touch on bloody wood now. Is that wood? Is there any proper wood in here? There's no bloody wood in the modern world, is there? It's all pretend. Everything's pretend. It's all, oh, this is proper wood here. This is what's here. I didn't mean that. Put my stick down there. And of course, you will notice I've gone to my stick. What's that a symbol of on my channel? What is it? If you don't know, you have to find out. Right? There's all sorts of esoteric meanings on my channel. There's esoteric meanings in the background. I'm not really angry. I'm quite chirpy. There's esoteric meanings in the background. It's just whether you can spot them and put what those things. What links that? What links these? What links these things? What's going on? Right. We're now at 7 minutes. I still haven't told you. So if I'm holding your interest here, this is now virtuoso YouTubing. None of the other guys can do this. Rick Beato can't bloody do this, or Mary Spender. She's right in there, start of the things, telling you what she's going to do a video about. I don't have to do that. I can come on here and just be angry and rant at you, actually about nothing, just following the odd thing that I get angry about every now and then. I get angry about all sorts of things I do. I get angry about? I get angry when I go into a shop, say my wife or the kids or whatever it is, and you go in and you say, can you get your stuff? And they're getting your stuff, their stuff. You get your stuff. I'm like this. I walk in and I get the stuff there, right? We'll have some of that. Put that in the bag, right like that, and then I'm walking, right? I'm walking to go and pay for it. And then I look round, and my daughter, whoever it is, or wife, whatever, they're still choosing. What can you hurry up? I don't know what packet of crisps I want. Well, there's cheese and onion, there's smoky bacon. Just pick one up. I don't know, which one would you want? No, just pick one up, right? And I'm looking at the counter, and the woman's there like this. No one's at the counter. Come on, hurry up. Oh, you're putting me off now. You make it worse by doing this. I don't know what you do this for. Because I don't want to stand in the shop for 10 minutes while you decide what packet of crisps you want. If you took any of these crisps and made them the last packet of crisps in the shop, in your house, in the cupboard, so you opened up and it was just cheese done in there, you'd eat it. Right? I'll eat chicken, even though it tastes a bit of urine. I will eat Walker's chicken crisps if they're there. Right? I would. I'll be damned. I'm not picky. I was brought up in a time when you had to have what you had and you put up with it. And if you're hungry, you'd eat anything, And there wasn't the food in the house. There wasn't all this processed fast food, was there? There was nothing in the house. Mom, is there anything to eat? No. I'm hungry. Have some water. Water? Yes. Have a glass of water. My God, Mom, what are we? We are in the 70s. Right, what do you expect? They haven't even invented Pop-Tarts or bird's eye potato waffles. I have to make it from scratch with potatoes and meat and peas. That's how I have to make a dinner, and I haven't got that. Well, what about a snack? Can we have a Mars bar? Mars bar? They're for the weekend. They're a treat. Young man, what do you think this is? The future? So, I'm in the shop waiting, and eventually they make a decision. And okay, come on. Maybe there's two of them, my wife and the kid. Round them up. And as you walk to the queue, what happens? Loads of people bloody get there in front of you, don't they? Loads of them get up. Oh, God, why? I could see it was free. That's why I rushed to get my stuff. But you wasted time. Now you're going to waste more time, right, in this bloody queue. And then what does the person say? They go and get their thing. And they go, oh, can I have a packet of embassy number and whatever it is? Oh, I've got to have their fags. And can you give me a bottle of so-and-so? They have to have their bloody alcohol, don't they? And then it's the worst thing. Oh, can I have a couple of lottery tickets? Lottery tickets! I'll go, which ones you want? I'll have a number 4 and a number... It takes ages to do the shopkeeper has to walk to another part of the shop and go to a great big machine, right, and do something there and then bring it back. It has to be a walk, and they put it all in and then they go, there you go. And I feel like going, excuse me, missus, have you ever worked out the chances of you winning the lottery? Do you understand it? You don't, do you? Because you don't understand numbers, do you? You're spending your money every week, right? And you do not understand the numbers, do you? You don't understand it, right? You winning the lottery is like me going out into your garden and going onto your lawn and choosing a piece of grass, and then you going out and picking the same piece of grass. Well, that could happen, couldn't it? I mean, you're going to be in it to win it, haven't you? You are in it, but you're not going to win it. Well, somebody's going to win it, I know. And somebody's going to die because of a piano dropping on their head as they're walking down the road, right? But you don't go out, you know, having to accommodate for that, you know. You're not that bloke from ELO that got killed by a haystack, are you? Did he? Yeah, he got killed by a haystack. What was his name? Mike Edwards. Was he related to you, Andy? No, he wasn't related to you. I thought your dad was called Mike Edwards. My dad was called Mike Edwards, but he wasn't in ELO. He worked at British Leyland. Well, the bloke who run British Leyland was called Michael Edwards. Yeah, it's not that one. It was another Michael Edwards. My dad is Michael Edwards. It was actually William Edwards, and it was his middle name, but it's too hard to explain. What you've got to understand is the chances of you winning are so infinitesimally small. Yeah, there is a chance you could win, but it's not something that you can gamble against. They fooled you, right? 1 in 100 is like 1,000,000 times more of a chance, you know. I mean, I'm thinking of a number right now between 1 and 100. I'm thinking of it now. Can you just come up with a number randomly? I don't know, about 67. Well, that was the number I was thinking about. That's just a fluke. You've just fluked that to spoil what I'm trying to say. But it did happen then, didn't it? Yeah, but the point is, 100 to 1 is not the same as 3 million to 1. You don't seem to understand the numbers. And the thing is, you come in here and everyone's going to be doing it now. They're all going to be doing it. Can I have a lottery ticket? And here I am, stood for half an hour, because everybody is a bloody dithering idiot. I'm surrounded by idiots. And here I arrive after 15 minutes. At the thing that makes me the most annoyed about music is the fact that I feel like I'm surrounded by idiots, idiot musicians, idiot music business types, and most of all, idiot audiences that don't know what they're talking about, right?
I think I'm going to be more of a tea drinker because I love drinking tea. I know I'm kind of late on speaking up about the new Cardi B video, and I'm gonna say something about it because I just can't be a hypocrite. Hey! Cardi B is a fucking genius.
This is going to be the most pompous, elitist, and the thing is, the reason I'm about to do this, and I thought, shall I do it? I thought, yeah, I want to do it. And I'm going to do it with my tongue in my cheek. Look, see there, my tongue in my cheek. So take this all with a pinch of salt, will you? I shouldn't have to explain when I'm doing a silly video, but our culture, our society does need a dose of this, right? And I don't care about people's feelings. I don't care if they get all miffed, right? And they feel like they're inferior because they can't understand the music I can understand. Right? I actually don't care. So, let's start on this properly. We have actually. You didn't realise it, but we have. That person buying the lottery ticket is free to buy the lottery ticket. It's absolutely fine. That is the market economy. Some people are going to buy crap music. They're going to listen to crap music. Some people are going to buy the lottery tickets. It's only mine. It's just your subjective opinion, Andy. It's just your subjective opinion. Well, this idea of a subjective opinion, there is a subjective opinion, right? But the subjective opinion is the opinion that all animals have. Subjective means we are at the centre of the universe looking out. And anything we see is our truth. That's my truth, that is. It might not be the truth, but it's my truth. And it's very important that I express my truth. No, it's not. That's the last truth we need. We don't need your truth. Why? Well, it's my truth. Because your truth is not true. Because there's a thing called truth. Yeah, but what is truth? You may think it's true. Well, say the laws in science that have been created, you know, the laws that make you build bridges and explosives and trains. But explosives are bad, aren't they? Explosives are bad. I mean, they shouldn't have ever invented explosives. I know, but that's just the use of it. The way that the laws that underpin explosives are still, you know, they're still absolute objective laws. Well, why are they? Well, because they work. They work. Yeah, but just because something works, I mean, if you had a superstition, you know, say, for example, you felt that it was good to dry your feet before you went out onto a shiny floor, you know, just to give your foot a ribbit, and it was a superstition, but that superstition did make you not fall over, then that superstition, by your count, would be true, wouldn't it? Yeah, and so isn't that what science is? Yeah, I know, but it's the sort of best one we've got, you see. Well, that doesn't sound very good, is it? You know, that's just the scientist's proof. So I have opened up a way of thinking that has flummoxed human beings for centuries. But the reason why they were considering this is because before then, human beings changed. And I believe what human beings did was to master the subject-object dichotomy. They said this: if I use my senses in a subjective way, I can then establish a truth, my truth. But then I can compare my truth to all the other people. And if we get all of my truths together and we spot things coming out of those truths that seem to ring true, right? It's very interesting, the term ring true, because our truth is based upon a concept that goes on back to harmony. But that is something that we're going to get into. Maybe, I don't know. So this is not only, I believe, the fundamental aspect of science. So a scientist goes, I'm going to try to see if this is the case. I'm going to make some observations. I've got an idea about the world. Now, that's just their idea. But I'm going to set up a test to see if this is true. Now, the reason why they set up a test is because they want to be objective in the way they are seeing it themselves. They want to be able to create some system that takes their bias or takes all the things that might skew what the truth is away from that. And then when they've done that and they've got those findings, they explain the findings to everybody else. And people are actually going in science, well, that method seemed to be quite good, but the thing they didn't think of is that experiment doesn't account for this. So then they can do their experiment based upon what the other scientists did. They might go, yeah, it still rang true, or actually it was slightly different. And that sharing, that want to move towards the truth, that there's an objective truth, is based upon a very simple faith statement. And what it is that there is a truth out there that we can all discover. If when science started and we all started to do our own experiments and combine them, they always came out with the wrong answers all the way across the board. We could have surmised there is no such thing as objective truth. We're just living in some Alice in Wonderland madness. But we don't. We know that there's an objective truth. And we place faith in it. We place so much faith in it, you know, that when you're in your car and you're bloody accelerating down and you go into, you know, there's a queue and you would die, you press the brake with no fear because you know all the science that has created that brake will stop your car. That is based upon the faith. It's like a faith that there's a truth out there, an objective truth that we can find. There is an objective truth. Now that's something that I hold I believe that. I think that there is an objective truth. The Enlightenment was a period where we really mastered it. It created, modern society, and certain ethics and morality came out of that. And the dogmatism of Christianity or the other religions was questioned because we could say now, no, the religion is not necessarily the case. This is probably happening because of this. It's happening because of the law of physics. So the earth can't be at the center of the universe. And God didn't create everything in 6 days, because we've got archaeology and geology and all these sorts of things slowly start to create another story altogether. And the Christian types have to adjust. Some of them start to adjust and they have to go, the Bible may be metaphorical. This is probably a way that happened, but I still think there could be a God, or is there a God? And then the discussion emerges. And out of that, it emerges the idea of the individual in a new light. Because science, especially biology, shows us that we're all the same. We're not all different bloody races and species. We're actually just all human beings. And so if you believe that everybody should have a set of human rights, then it is the case, logically, that black slaves should not be enslaved because they are not another type of person. They are the same person. A lot of people out there seem to believe that slavery was abolished because of Christianity. And there was something in Christianity. There is something in the New Testament which does put a certain perspective on individuality that then is the seeds that creates the Enlightenment. But I believe it was the fact that the scientists were dissecting human beings and started to realize that we were all the same and there was no difference, absolutely no difference. There's this famous story of Charles Darwin, when he was off doing his explorations on the Beagle, the excellently named Beagle. Only the British could name a ship the Beagle. Let's make a ship, let's go across the world, exploring all new vistas and measuring and finding out and delivering breadfruit or whatever it is we're going to do. We're going to do all these wonderful things. What shall we call it? Well, I quite like little doggies, do you? Yeah, especially a little Beagle. They're very cute, aren't they? Why don't we name the boat after that? Oh, that sounds great. Call it the Beagle. A few years ago, there was a royal yacht. Remember, they had to ask the British people to name the yacht, and they came up with the most stupid name. What was it again? Boaty, but something like that. I actually can't told the story and I haven't got to it. But you don't know that story, you can Google it now and I'll give you something to do. Right, so where are we? Slavery was abolished because of science, because they realised we were all human beings. Charles Darwin, he gets on the Beagle, they go off, they pick up these natives off the bottom of bloody South America, right on the Horn of South America. They take them back to the UK, they educate them, they become all refined and educated. They're just the same as everybody else. They're all this type of stuff. We were civilised now, and they take them back for some reason because they were bastards, right? Then take them back and drop them back there and leave them there. Then they come back a few years later, and these erudite British people that they created have gone back to being bloody awful savages.
Fucking come on, Ned. I want to say that's not the worst beating I've had off police, but it's in the top fucking 5.
And Darwin was haunted by this. He realised then how much of what we are as human beings was not evolutionary, that it was cultural. So much of what we believe is culturally constructive. That realisation comes in. And the idea that things are culturally constructed creates another type of science. And this goes into Marxism, it goes into sort of existentialism, phenomenology, tries to get another way of seeing truth, which takes in the quality of our experience, and all this type of stuff. And by the time you get to the 20th century, the arts emerge. You got all these technologies created by science. So you got cinema, you got music, you got rock, jazz, funk, you got television, you got satellite TV, then you get the internet. All these new art forms are being created within an idea of truth that wasn't that post-Enlightenment idea, it was the post-modernist idea of truth, where everything is socially constructed.
Postmodernism emerged as a reaction to this disillusionment. It offered a more skeptical, critical, and complex view of the world. It rejected the idea that there is a single, objective truth that can be discovered through reason or science. Instead, it emphasized the importance of subjective experience, cultural context, and individual interpretation. This rejection of a universal truth led to a proliferation of different perspectives and a celebration of difference and
And
diversity.
they go over the top on this. They start thinking everything is socially constructed. Absolutely everything is socially constructed. Science is socially constructed. It's just a way of seeing the universe. You know, the scientists see it in one way. But if you're an Aborigine, if you spoke to an Aborigine and found out how they understand the universe, their view is just as valid as the scientist. And I'm here to tell you now, it's not. It's not. The reason why we're here in all this comfort doing what we're doing is because human beings created two things. One, which I've tried to explain just now, is the idea of objective truth. It's the negotiation between the individual and the group. And it's a magical mix between those two, which then establishes truth. But the thing that people really don't seem to understand is art does the same thing. But art does it over not truth, but beauty. And by beauty, I mean quality, or goodness, or the lack thereof. Okay? So, you go out into a forest. You're an ancient man walking through the landscape. And you need to make camp. And you're looking to where to make camp. And you make this camp, and it's right on the edge of a cliff, you know, and there's not much shelter. And you put your camp down, and then it all starts raining, and then the windy blows, and then before you know it, your camp's getting blown over the cliff, and half the natives that you're with, natives is that early man, which will be a better description of it, they fall off the cliff to their death, and the ones that remain scream so loud because they're so horrified, they attract all the saber-toothed tigers who come and eat them. And those people stop... they don't procreate because they're all dead. And so there are no of them, there's none of them around with their bad ability to choose somewhere to stop, right? So what you would get, I assume, and I don't know if this is true, you need to talk to a biologist, but I imagine there's a situation, there's certain genetic traits that sort of fire in terms of our sense experience, where we now get a better idea of where somewhere to stop is good. Now, because of the genetic spread, that might be better in some people and not so much in other people. So basically, what I'm saying, there's stupid people and clever people, right? So the clever person one day is going, how do we get across to the stupid ones? And they're out there trying to find somewhere to stop and not get eaten by saber-toothed tigers or blown off a cliff. Surely there's some way we can explain this to people. And they start to draw pictures. Now, drawing pictures is a bloody miracle. You know, you pick up a burnt stick in your cave and you start drawing on the wall, you know, and then, you know, you dip your fingers in the blood of someone who was just eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, and you start to put a bit of red in. And somehow that depicts the reality out there. We look at it and go, oh yeah, you fooled me here. And now I feel like I'm looking for this window, and the window tells me what it's like out there, but you've created the window and you've got control of it. So it's not like an actual window. It's like an idealized window. This is what the cavemen would have said to each other. You've created an idealized window, and we haven't even invented windows yet. And what they're doing with that, they were actually saying, this is where we want to go to hunt. These are the animals we want to get. We need to respect the animals. This is how we do it. This is how we work together, blah, blah, blah. That's why we are human beings. It's the working together to catch bloody meat. It's probably why I'm having this conversation with you right now. Which is very long-winded, I know, but that's the nature of my videos. It's a journey that we go on. I've hooked you in with anger, and now we're on this journey. You think, what the hell's this got to do with music? But hopefully I will arrive there, hopefully, and I'll get back into the story that I'm telling you. So you can imagine that you could look at a painting and go, I love that painting. I'm going to put it over my fireplace. I love it. It's so beautiful. It's like it was. What's the painting of you put over your fireplace? Oh, it's a lovely painting. It's like this little boy. He's walking through the forest, and he's gone to have a drink of water because there's a little pond there. He's in a lovely little glade. It's all protected. There's a nice flat bit where you can have a rest, and he's thirsty. You can go and get your water. See, there's some water there. You don't have to. It's running water. Yeah, you can see it's trickling through. I can hear the sound that trickles in the way the painter's painted it. Right. So landscape painting can be seen as the depiction of environments that are conducive to our safety or not. Landscape painting changes, doesn't it, in the Romantic period? We move a bit against the Enlightenment a little bit. We say, what about the raw power out there? You know, if you're at the top of a mountain, you might die, but there's this existentialist joy, which is much more complex, and it's a value because it's an expression of who we are in the world. You know, it's the expression of the sublime, and the sublime's frightening. It's both chaos and beauty at the same time. It's like the danger is almost comforting in a way. And you get sort of those paint Gaspar David Friedrich, you get like Turner, and them all being tossed around in some sort of colourful, beautiful storm. And this is what art does. It negotiates what we think is good or not good. Or it says, you know, this thing that you didn't think was good, there's actually some goodness there. And through that, human beings are able, like drawing the juice of the marrow from the bones once you've got all the meats, right? Successfully used your, cave window, fake idealist cave window to capture your meat. And then once you get all that, you're going to get the marrow out the bones. You want to get that goodness that's in the bones. You know it's there. Why do you know it's there? Because you found it out. And there's the marrow, there's the goodness that's in the world that's not obviously there. Art negotiates that. You get into the 20th century, and we're in such a technological age, and the technology is exploding, and you got jazz, you got blues, you got the cinema, you've got all these things that are emerging, new art forms. And new art forms they can say new things. And so the 20th century is about people digging deeper and deeper into the marrow of existence to find all sorts of goodness. You know, these people we enslaved, you know, all the ones that were doing all the jobs for us, yeah. Then we had to let them go, didn't we? Yeah, 'cause we had a massive civil war and everyone got killed, yeah. Yeah, we let them go. It's rubbish now. Go do all the work ourselves, all pay them. Yeah, I know. Bloody annoying, isn't it? Have you ever thought, you know those people that were slaves? Do you ever think that they've got like a different view on things from being slaves? I mean, I've exhausted my view of the world, and talking to you, you say all the same sort of stuff. If you got the slave in here and treated them like a proper human being and spoke to them, they might have a different view on the world. Well, go and get them then. And so the bloke comes in. So how do you see the world? Well, I've got to be honest, I see that you lot thought you were bloody the top dogs. You thought you could boss everybody around. There's something not quite right with this. Oh, what are you on about? America's brilliant. Well, it's not really, is it? You talk about, it's for everybody and the American dream, but it wasn't for us, was it? I know, but we didn't know that. We didn't know about you being the same as us. I know. Well, it gave us a different viewpoint, Your music's rubbish. I've been listening to it, We always like to have a good dance, and we make the music up, And because we can make the music up, it's like you can respond on the spot. You can get more into it. Really? Yeah. I want to show you what we could do. So this point is that we suddenly... One of the ways of seeing new goodness is actually opening yourself up to other voices. It's very important to open yourself up to other voices, other ideas, other people who have different ways of looking at the world, right? There's all these things going on around you. And this is happening within the postmodernist era, right? And that renegotiation of good, that sort of democratization of the arts. So, 1917, Marcel Duchamp brings out his urinal, his famous urinal. All the normal people think, what the bloody hell's that? Can't he just paint a big fat cow? We like a big fat cow. Can't we just have a big fat cow? Why has he got a urinal in there for? Who wants to look at a urinal? Is he taking the pee? Marcel Duchamp brings that out, but I believe that Marcel Duchamp did that on purpose because he knew we were in this new age. 1917 is right at the beginning of the period of what you could call modernism. We go into the jazz age. All these new art forms are coming out. They are the people's art forms. And what he does is he ties up the elite in a knot. He ties them up in a conceptual knot. And for the rest of the time, next 100 years, all the poshies are stood in art galleries, getting no enjoyment from the art, but stroking their chins and going, this is so sick. I mean, is this art? I know. Well, they asked the question: is it art? Is it art? Well, it wasn't art until they put it into the art gallery, was it? Is it fact that you just place something in the art gallery, make it art? Well, only if it's worth something. I mean, all of us are avoiding tax by buying the art. Well, so... Maybe you could put like a urinal in there and, I could buy it and it would then be like worth £1 million. And then because I bought it, it's worth £1 million. All the other poshies would go, oh, he's spent £1 million on it, they must be worth £1 million. And so it would actually go up in value. I want to own that if it's worth £1 million. It's gone up in value now. And then when everyone's talking about it, they're all talking about the urinal. They're all talking about it. The urinal doesn't really exist. Marcel Duchamp was a genius. You cannot pin down that piece of art whatsoever. I think it's a work of genius, but I know a lot of people don't, right? They don't. They think it's terrible. Normal people think it's terrible, right? Now, the 20th century, the elites are all about that. They're all existentialists and weirdists and stroking their chins. What does this all mean? That's what they're up to. But then postmodernism comes in, and all these ideas of like cultural construction. Things come from culture. Everything's culture, all good and bad. It's all relative. You know, there's no actual right and wrong. People make what's right and wrong. Art is all about what you make of it. Okay, so artists, and when I was at art college, this was like the biggest thing. You know, what are you trying to do with your art? And I'm just trying to express the way I see the world. So what's your intention? Well, I don't know really. I just create the art because that is my want to create the art. And then I put the art into the gallery, the sacred gallery, and then somebody comes in and they bring themselves to it. So if they thought anything about your art, that's fine. Yeah, yes, this is what I believe is that what my intention is not what it's about. It's about the viewer. The viewer brings themselves to it, and they find a meaning in it. And if they find a meaning in it, which is their meaning, and it was not part of my intention, who am I to say that that's not what the art's about? Me! I'm the one to say that. Anyway, we're really right. Forget that. Forget I was there then. Yeah. So I've been creating an art form, which is. In fact, I'm going to create an art form now for you. So do you want to watch that? So that was my art form. Now, what did I mean by that? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I want you in the comments to look at it, and I want you to put what you thought that meant. Right? Because it's you. It's what you think it's about that is important. I found it a very profound piece of work. The stark black and white evoking a sort of grey existence without colour. And then the protagonist enters, and we're aware he's about to do a performance, but then he picks up an album, a Lester Young album, The Jazz, which represents colour, and it pours from his mouth out into his hands, and he forms the jazz. And it really is about the white colonialists expelling the hate and oppression that has been contained within him. It's almost like he's vomiting up the genius of Lester Young into his hand. And once that is the case, you see him. You hear the pig. The pig as the white supremacist is eating at the trough of the creations of his black fellow man, and then we see him assuming almost like a crucifixion pose as he places himself onto the altar. He places himself into the sacrificial place, as he once did with the aforementioned Lester Young, who obviously died in 1959 of alcohol and drugs, created probably by the colonial repressive existence that he had to grow up with in a post-slavery America full of Jim Crow and all sorts of horrible things. And I felt it was very profound, especially hearing the snorking sound of the pigs at the trough. And I felt very moved by this, as it expressed some sort of inner. It was like there was some sort of inner. But this became the dogma. And it moved from the street, because what actually happened is we got jazz, we got cinema, we got television, we got the internet, computer games. All these are the new art forms. And now we've got things like memes, we've got Instagram, we've got YouTube. I believe YouTube's an art form. I believe Instagram's an art form. I believe that people who are making art on it don't realise they're making art on it. It is exactly what Andy Warhol stated would happen. This is what the artists predicted. They were not wrong. But these ideas have now atrophied. And if you go into an art gallery and you see some banana, taped to a wall, it is still nowhere near as conceptually valid as a normal person filming their dog looking like a pirate. Right? It's exactly the same. It's not exactly the same in its meaning, but its intention, the idea that you bring the meaning to it yourself. And then you create a currency of that. And in the art gallery, the currency is that a rich person will come up and say, I'm going to buy that banana. They play their role. If I go in and tape a banana just to a wall, no one's going to spend £1 million. The only reason why it's art, and this is what the rich potchies think, it's art because it's expensive. But what you get on the internet is expense, and wealth is now created by being able to burrow into somebody's mind through this because of what you like and what you don't like. So the person who is able to get a pirate costume for their cat and put it on and then film it correctly where it looks like they are a pirate, and then you get that thing and you think, that's quite good, that, and you see, oh, I like that, right? I was flicking through watching my intellectual, philosophical videos, as I do, because I'm an intelligent person. And as I flicked through, there was a video that I came across, and it was like 3 little puppies, and the puppies were all sitting to attention, and there was a little baby, he couldn't speak, but he was sort of directing them. He was going, "Wabba-dabba, yabba-dabba, wabba-dabba," and the dogs were fully attentive and go, what's he saying? We'll do what he says. And then because they were so attentive, the baby found this so funny that he started laughing and he rolled back. And then the puppies pounced on him, but not in an aggressive way, in a very cute way. And I went, oh, that's lovely, that is. And I watched it probably 24 times, I would say. I watched it over. I loved it. I don't know why I loved it. It was just so cute. The puppies were so cute. The baby was so cute, and it was so funny at the same time. And it was all nice, and it made the world seem nice with all that horribleness of all, the nasty things we have to put up with. It was all lovely little babies and little puppies all being nice and jumping around. And the room was all lovely lit, and it was all white and neat. There was no nastiness. It wasn't like some druggie's house or a common person's house. It looked like a rich person's house, and the doggies had been really washed, and they were all fluffy. They didn't have any horrible bits around their bottoms. They were all lovely. Oh, it's brilliant. It's just brilliant. I can't stop watching it. It's so good. And then the baby falls back. Yeah. It's really good, isn't it? Do you like it? It's good though, isn't it? I really do love this. It's brilliant, isn't it? That's so entertaining. I wonder if there's any more videos like this. Let's just have a click back and see what we've got here. And hang on, there's just there's a lot of these doggy videos, three puppies and a baby. There seems to be, there's a lot of these, isn't there? There's hundreds of them. What's going on here? I don't understand it. A baby and 3 puppies growing as one. There's hundreds and hundreds. Why are there so many of these? How can that happen? They can't be like babies all over the world in this clean living room, all just being at 1-3. I don't understand what the hell's going on. I just don't get it. I don't get it. Right, and I put a like on it, and that liking as a currency is exactly the same as the rich man going, I'm going to buy that banana, and then I'm going to eat the banana, and I'm going to be part of the art. I'm an artist, everybody. Oh, yes, you are. You're an artist because you've got billions and billions of pounds. Right, so that is where we're at the moment. Okay? Now, you want to know how you combat this, right? You have to look around. You have to realise that the reason why the arts are decimated, the reason why music's decimated, is not because of all the things everybody says. It's because of what I'm telling you now. It's because you're not allowed to go, you don't really know anything about music, do you? You have very poor taste, I'm afraid. What do you mean I got poor taste? Well, that song you like, that song you like there about the two ladies are singing, with not much clothes on, about their about how that one. That's disgusting. I really like it. I think it's catchy. I think it's funny. Yeah, I know, but it's rubbish, really. It's not really bark, is it? You can't say that. You're just being a snob now. You're just being elitist. You like your bark. I've heard bark is boring. I'd rather listen to a dog bark. That'd be better, barking dog. I saw a video, so this is where we're at now, okay? So now as we come to the last 20 minutes of this video, it's going to be an hour long, right? It is a rant. I am going to suggest what I think needs to be done about the situation I have now described, and we have arrived at this point. So my solution to this problem would be to rethink how we think about creativity in the arts and music, and to move away from this postmodernist subjective view of art where everything is art and everything's as good as each other. This sort of relativistic view of art, I think, is destroying the idea that art contains some sort of quality. We have to see that there is better art than other art, but we have to understand that we don't know what that is. In the same way as the scientist knows that he don't know what absolute truth is. They are searching for it. We are searching for a certain quality. And through the discussion of art and through the way we approach art, and most importantly, the way we make art, because that's the most important thing. We need new people making art and feeling like they can make art. And that has really been a very important aspect of my life's work in terms of teaching and now here on YouTube. I want people to feel like they can make art, and I want them to realize that art could be whatever they want it to be, and I want them to stop thinking about quality. So the artists have got to stop thinking about quality and just exist. They've just got to be. They've just got to do what they want to do, whatever ideas or any feelings they want to get out there. But we need to bring a critical lens, and we need to celebrate the idea that there's a critical lens there. How could this be done? Well, I think it could be done through education. I think that we need to teach aesthetics. We need to take kids out into the world, and we need to make them aware of the beauty of their world. And they need to respond to that beauty. And there's all sorts of different ways of doing that. And then once they start creating art, we need to then look at the great artists and as a group, because this is one of the things you can do in the classroom, is you could actually sit a whole bunch of people in the class, put a painting up on the wall and say, what can you see? And people start to talk about it. And then that subjective phenomenological postmodernist view where somebody goes, well, I feel it's a bit like this, and I feel it's a bit like that, and I feel it's like this. And then people start going, yeah, I can see that. And you see, because this thing isn't about object or subject. The whole point of art is to destroy that and go into that area where those things join up. Now, what makes them join up? It is the sense of community that art can have. The great art forms are communal. You know, the Great Victorian painting, when I crack the joke about the cow, that's based upon the fact that in around about 1850, 1860, there was an exhibition where someone put a beautifully photographic, you know, detailed painting of a great big fat cow. And because that was a quality thing that people, you know, found very important back at that time, you know, people who worked on the land, they queued up to look at this painting. Rock music, cinema, all these things have been about communality. The art's powerful because everyone's there feeling it together and they're united in their feeling. The internet sort of does that, but music doesn't do it anymore. You can't do it through music anymore. You have to do it through YouTube. You see, you have to do it through YouTube. I exist because I come out here and talk. Now, the thing is anyone watching my channel will know that I have a very strong opinion about art, and that I have enacted it on here. And so I go into my videos with very little in my head, believe it or not. You probably go, it does seem like that, Andy. But I'm thinking around these ideas all the time, and I'm having new experiences all the time. Recently, I spoke to the psychologist, Dr. Ian McGilchrist. And that has been very profound. Some of the stuff he told me has helped me in terms of my artistic outlook of the world. It shifted it. And because he's a scientist and he has arrived at a better model of truth in terms of the way our brains work, I believe, it has enabled me to examine the utility of art from that point of view. I've had a lot of experience making creative stuff. I make creative stuff every single day. Like I make more than one creative thing a day, probably 10 or 20 things a day. I exist to be creative, but it's not easy. Part of this video has been about me trying to show you the aspects of a YouTube video that are there that you might not be aware of. But when you become aware of them, you might be able to judge what makes a good YouTube video more than somebody else. And you might be able to then examine the fact that there are esoteric aspects to YouTube. Now, I think a lot of that, when it works, the artists are in control of, because they probably haven't had an art training like me, you know. But I did my dissertation in French New Wave film, so mise en scene became very important. You know, and that is the idea that the artist is in control of everything that you see in the camera. The way that I'm positioned, where my head is, and all the stuff that's around me. Now, because this is an ongoing thing, everything I refer to sort of ends up behind me. And so it creates this great big pastiche of other meanings. And sometimes before a video, I'll put some things out on the floor, perhaps, but then I'll deliberately see, so you can't see them. And then you might say, are they just been placed there randomly, or is there something else going on? And what else is going on? Well, I'm not telling you it because I'm not telling you everything. Because art, you can't tell everybody everything. Part of the thing is they have to come to it themselves. My solution is education. We need to hire teachers who are good at teaching. We have to realize that teaching is an art. And there's an art to standing in front of a class and talking to them. Kids don't need to be involved in the lesson, in like the Ofsted things. If you've got a boring teacher, they will need to be involved in some task, or they will lose interest. But if you've got someone who's interesting, they can walk into a classroom and do a thing that goes back to the beginning of time, and it's tell a story. You tell a story, and in telling that story, you could get all sorts of meaning in. This is what this whole video has been about, right? And I've come on here and I tell you a story and we go through it, and hopefully it holds your interest. And so we need teachers who could tell a story, and that's a little bit of a knack, right? It's not something you can teach. Storytelling is not something you can teach. You know, look at the amount of comedians that start off as teachers. There's a reason for that. And the reason is because going in front of a class of teenage kids is the hardest audience there is. That's the first thing. The next thing we need is people who know about art. And that means people who are educated in art. And that's really difficult because we have had no real arts education going on. So I believe that there needs to be in society a desire to find people who talk about art, and I would love to be in that category. Hopefully I have proved myself. I would love to be doing that at my age now, is working with educational establishments to try and renegotiate how they're going to teach art. So when those kids come in and they sit down, they are fired up by art, and that through the art they learn about every other subject. This is what mainstream education should be. Art should be at the heart of it, not stuck to the side of it, pushed aside for STEM subjects. That cannot happen. Art should be at the middle of it, right in the centre. Okay? Primary schools do this. Primary schools will have a theme: UFOs, space, the Black Plague, Black Death. And all their lessons point to that. And in the middle of that will be some sort of display that the kids create. It's all about art, right? And then we throw that away because they're all supposed to now knuckle down and forget art because it was a thing their child does. But the very understanding of the Black Death, it comes to you through art. The very understanding of space comes through art. And artists need to understand like that. We need the idea of the Renaissance man, the Enlightenment individual that can speak across all these subjects, not just their subjects of art, but knows about science, knows about the history of things. You have to have that. Great artists usually have that because they have something to say. And then there needs to be a discussion that assumes that the art has meaning, and we need to celebrate great pieces of art. We need to establish the greats and not just see them as a product of, some postmodernist view of, Western European history where it's all dead white men. That's got to go, right? We have to get back to realizing that that is the great art. We have to get people to understand what happened historically, which now means that great people who are dead white males, right, are now able to put their art across. You don't get that by pushing that art. You get that by having a level playing field and having artists competing for high stakes. Okay? I believe that exists on the internet at the moment. I have loved coming onto YouTube. I've loved stopping making albums and tried to reach the audience that way. I knew it was dead 20 years ago. Coming onto YouTube, I love the challenge of coming on here and seeing how far I can push it. You've got to understand, I can do the worst this, the worst that every single day of the week. I could do those videos, right? Usually on a Friday, I'll put one out and they'll come out and do a whole bunch of views, kicks the channel back up. And then I'm back in here doing something like this. Now I'm trying to refine it to a point where this video is a little bit of an experiment. Can I say, start off ranting, have a title where people go, oh, Andy's ranting? Because what it is that I know about this channel is that people like me talking about music, but that just gets me through the door. The fact that I know about music gets me through the door. The fact that I can play music is an optional extra. But the thing that puts bums on seats is me getting angry. And so we need to see that getting angry is a storytelling device. Think about it. Conflict. All stories have conflict in. We start with conflict and we get to some sort of point, some denouement. So my suggestion is that we drop this sort of relativistic postmodernist. We realise that that's past its prime. We open ourselves up, which is going to be really hard because these ideas have been dogmatically pushed through the arts. And so everybody doesn't want to let go of them. The arts funding's based upon it. There's so many artists who feel that they're trained up in what they're doing, but they make art that nobody is really interested to, and that says nothing to nobody, but it fulfills all the tick boxes of the sort of identitarian postmodernist view of what art is. I'm saying we screw that up. I'm saying we go back to saying, no, this is the great art. Bach is great art. Mozart's great art. John Coltrane's great art. Citizen Kane is a great film. We have that discussion, and if someone wants to disagree, then we have that discussion. And that's why I come in so aggressive on here, because those people, because they make me more angry than the idiots. The idiots that sit, it's not their fault. They're just stupid. They haven't been educated. They might never be educated. But the worst idiot has to be the wokey pokey, artsy fartsy, liberally progressive all art's everything and everybody's a rainbow, and you can say whatever you want, you know, and it doesn't matter what it is, it could be a load of rubbish, as long as you don't go against our rules of what we think you should say or what we think you should think like. And it has to always portray the same values, and high art is really about pushing those values. We need more films by black, lesbian, gay, disabled, blind, stupid, non-exist, dead and alive people. We need art that represents. We need art that represents all the underprivileged in society, all the identity. No, we don't. We need art that is great. We need art that is great. Can't you get it into your head? Can't you see that your dogma and your ideology is straying in art at the moment? What is the point in me having this? What's the point in all these fucking cups that you have there? What's the point in it all? What's the point in it all in the end? Oh, if you're going to go over here, I'm going to smash things up over here. Ah, you go, yeah. Oh, you go. Put it on there. Oh, I've reached peak anger. Peak anger. Peak anger. And there's the denouement. There is the denouement of my video. Well, that's the only exercise I get, you know, is having peak anger. I'm sure it's not good for you. In fact, I feel a little bit, my chest in there. I think I got myself too rolled up, really. Oh, God. Oh, that don't feel right.
It's